Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand. On today's Manchester United transfer show, we have a huge transfer boost as it's looking like Manchester United will actually sign 3 midfielders. I'm hoping that there's some truth in this. We absolutely need to do this. Obviously there's a horrendous injury that's happened to Manuel Ugarte and you would always wish the player the absolute best in his recovery. It's a horrible injury and I feel really sorry for him, but it just hammers home the point that Manchester United have to sign 3 midfielders, and there's reports coming out from journalists quite close to the club that that could happen. And Alex Scott, he's definitely a player that we need to keep our eyes on. Some more transfer boost coming out this afternoon about Alex Scott and whether he will be sold from Bournemouth, and it's looking more and more likely that he will. However, can Manchester United win a transfer battle with Arsenal, who are the other club that are looking at Alex Scott? Also, another update on Fernandes, the whole Spurs, Manchester United thing. I know this saga is getting really drawn out now, and there's little updates coming here and there, drip, drip, drip. I'm hoping this week is going to be when Manchester United wrap that deal up. I am still hopeful that Man United will get that deal done. We'll get into it, and Tchouameni, that's what I want it to be. That's what the standards of Manchester United should be. But there's been a couple of different reports that sort of say it could go either way, with Manchester United currently probably tempering some expectations to keep it on the lower end of the budget scale. But I think, I have my own philosophy, and my philosophy is United need 3 midfielders. We have to go and get midfielders that are capable of starting and winning in the Premier League and the Champions League. If you say right now when you brief to everyone, yeah, we want to go for both. We want to go for both Fernandes and Tchouameni. Yeah, we want to go for both Alex Scott and Tchouameni. We want to go for both Fernandes and Alex Scott. It puts you in a situation where clubs that you are trying to buy from, i.e. West Ham, i.e. Bournemouth, i.e. Real Madrid, know that you have money to spend. And we don't know. It looks like United are on a tight budget as of now. It really does look that way, and that's how it's being briefed in the media. But I think Man United don't want to go out there and tell everyone, yeah, we've got a lot of money to spend on midfielders, so we have actually got the money to spend 85 million on Fernandes, West Ham, so, you know, keep drawing us out on that because we've got it there. We don't want to do that. So I still hold out hope that it's going to be 3 quality midfield signings, and I will hold out hope until the last day of the transfer window, or we sign 3 midfielders and they're not of the quality that I think that we should be getting. Although I will say, on some of the reports, Baleba is coming back up, so that is a little bit worrying to some of you guys. As a 3rd midfielder, I wouldn't totally mind it, but I don't think he's currently Manchester United quality. But let's get into it. So the first report I want to bring in, welcome everybody. Apparently I am muted. Am I muted? I'm not muted. Okay. Do you know what's really frustrating? When people tell me I'm muted and I'm not muted, because it ruins my flow. But we move. Welcome everybody into the chat. Get your comments in. Smash a like on the video. Welcome. We're starting off with Samuel Luckhurst, who has put out, you know, quite an interesting article actually. And there is some opinions in there that I do agree with, but he started off on maybe a bit more news-based, and it's about Ugarte. And like I said, wishing Ugarte well. He's got the wishing Ugarte well. He's got the worst injury that a footballer can have. He's torn his cruciate ligaments, and it's awful. He is a player that Manchester United were going to move on. Now that is not going to happen because no club is going to buy a player that is injured in that way. Manchester United will receive compensation for Manuel Ugarte. His wage will actually be covered by the fee for compensation of a player being injured within the World Cup. So United will receive some money, but not the money they were hoping when they were going to sell him on this summer. And they were hoping it was going to be for quite a decent price because he performed in the World Cup. It's not worked out that way, and we just want Ugarte to recover in the best way possible. But Manchester United will need 3 midfielders, because even if Ugarte, you couldn't move him on and he was to stay, and if he didn't get injured, United could be like, well, we've got Ugarte, who's capable. And, you know, that could be their argument. You don't even have a body there now. Like, you don't even have a player that is capable of playing because he's going to be out for a very, very long time. So with Ugarte now unsellable and sidelined long term, bringing in an extra midfielder has become more pressing, and targets such as Alex Scott, Carlos Baleba and Adam Wharton have all been tracked. United also want to strengthen in other areas with a left-sided player, a forward and a backup goalkeeper. So that's coming from Samuel Luckhurst, who does, you know, have sources within the club. So it's one to take note of. And then this is what really caught my eye, coming out from Nathan Sol in the Daily Mail. Bournemouth's stance on Alex Scott is firm. He's not for sale, and they're pushing hard to secure a new contract that would rise his price even further. But that isn't deterring Manchester United or Arsenal, who are growing increasingly optimistic about prizing him away from the South Coast. And then he goes on to say, Alex Scott's stepsister, Maya Letizia, is captain of Manchester United's women's team. Her role in any pursuit may yet prove crucial. So when I saw all of this news come out, I mean, first things first, it's absolutely blatantly obvious now that Alex Scott is the next midfielder in line if we don't go for Matheus Fernandes. There is still Tchouameni lurking there, which I think Tchouameni is a little bit separate to Alex Scott and Matheus Fernandes. I mean, I don't know if United see it that way, but I think that's how it should be. I think Tchouameni, if he's available, it's an absolute must. I think it should be Matheus Fernandes or Alex Scott, because both of them players, you know, they can play as a 6, they can play as an 8, they can play a little bit more advanced. Ideally, you wouldn't want them playing as 6s, to be honest with you, but they both can do it. They're both young, Premier League proven players, but still have a next level to go up, both with massive potential. I think it's an Alex Scott or Matheus Fernandes is that number 8 that you want, that really strong number 8 that is going to hopefully go to the next level whilst they're at the club and you're buying in young talent. I see Tchouameni as the Casemiro replacement. I see Tchouameni as the established Champions League winner, out-and-out number 6, the aerial capability that is going to come in and replace Casemiro. So for me, them two deals are separate. Again, I have this feeling, because I feel like this is the way Manchester United should be thinking. It's based on nothing I've heard, or, you know, if you look at the briefs, you wouldn't think that. But I think we will sign Tchouameni on top of either a Fernandes or an Alex Scott. That's what I'm hoping for. So I don't really bring Tchouameni into the conversation. With Alex Scott, it's very, very obvious that if we don't get this Matheus Fernandes deal over the line, that is where we're going next. Will Bournemouth sell? It's yet to be seen. But what I would say when it comes to the price is, if Manchester United don't want to pay 80, 85 million for Matheus Fernandes, which is looking like what West Ham are absolutely holding out for, and I've got a bit of news I want to bring in on Fernandes and some thoughts on that as well. A lot of people up in arms about him not choosing his preference as Manchester United. I mean, I think there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that are probably, you know, causing this delay. I'm not saying I'm not saying he has chosen United as his preference, but I think there's loads of mitigating factors that people don't always take into consideration. But Alex Scott is the player we'll go for next. Well, if Matheus Fernandes is going to be 80, 85 million, he's going to go somewhere, whether it's Manchester United or Spurs. If Spurs go and get him, it's going to be because Manchester United won't pay. So that means he probably is going to go for around 80, 85 million pounds if Spurs do get him. Sandro Tonali's on the cusp of going for 90 million pounds. I get he's a little bit more experienced, but it's still a lot of money. Elliot Anderson, I mean, you can argue what figure it is, 116 or 130. He's still gone for a huge price tag. Bournemouth aren't just going to say, Manchester United, you know what? Yes, you can have one of the top young midfielders in the Premier League for a bargain price of 65 million. They're not going to do that. Of course, if Alex Scott refuses to sign a contract, he's got 2 years left on his deal. Of course, you know, you have a little bit to bargain with Bournemouth for, because they don't want him to go into the last year of his contract. They don't. But they do still have 2 years. They are still good at getting good prices for their players. And I don't think it's going to be a simple solution of, you know what, we'll go for Alex Scott. He's going to be a lot cheaper and, you know, quality-wise, we rate them both. I don't think it will be like that. I think quality-wise, they are both good. I saw Goldbridge on a show the other day say that he actually preferred Alex Scott. I really like Alex Scott. I personally prefer Matheus Fernandes. I think his ceiling is slightly higher. I think they're both very good players. I would sign both, but I think if Tchouameni's on the market, we should just go for one. But I think Matheus Fernandes, there is a reason why PSG, Real Madrid, Arsenal, Spurs now, and Manchester United are all circling this player. There's a reason why Fabrizio Romano said he's one of the most coveted, you know, players on the market right now. Like, there's a lot of interest in him, and I think it's because his ceiling is absolutely massive. I mean, I've spoke to quite a few West Ham fans who are really confident he's going to be a £100+ million player in the future, and Alex Scott might get to that level as well. Every time I watch Alex Scott, I am impressed. I do have to preface by saying that. But if Matheus Fernandes is your guy, go and get him, because the price difference really is probably going to be maximum 10 to 15 million, if that. I mean, Laurie Whitwell still thinks that if Alex Scott goes this summer, you know, the price could be less than 80 million, but Bournemouth will push hard when all these other players are going for a big price tag. So, look, I think Alex Scott would be a great buy. I think, would he choose Manchester United over Arsenal? I mean, if we can't even beat Spurs to a player, you struggle, don't you? However, I do think every player is different, and with the Fernandes thing, I actually don't think he's chosen Spurs over us. I mean, I don't think he's made a decision yet. I'll get into that in a second. With Alex Scott, his stepsister being part of the women's team could be a help. It absolutely could. And, you know, I would put us in a good place in a transfer battle against any club apart from the likes of a Real Madrid. You know, I really, really would. Man City have beat us multiple times recently. It massively hurts. But I don't necessarily always think that's because of the project. I think that's because of the money. I think that's because of the money that Man City can put on a plate. I mean, Elliot Anderson, I'm not saying he's gone for money, but he's on over 300 grand a week. Like, United were never going to give that wage away. So if we can agree terms financially with a player, then I think we can compete with multiple different clubs. But it is hard to see that when United aren't always willing to pay, and that has been something that's cropped up a lot recently. And you also put in a club that is willing to pay, and it's whether United are willing to pay. They're going to have to pay for someone at some point. Do you go and pay for your first choice? Well, we've not done that. Elliot Anderson was our first choice. We said no to over 300 grand a week, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I doubt United ever had that personal terms in place for Elliot Anderson. We said no to over 100 million. So the first choice we're not paying for. Currently, the situation with Matheus Fernandes is we're not wanting to pay the price. Paul Hurst put it out in the Times last night. United are refusing to pay 80 million as of now. That's the second choice midfielder. When you get onto Alex Scott and Bournemouth are saying, we want this price, and Arsenal saying, we'll give you this wage, are you then going to compete with Arsenal and get Alex Scott done? So every player that is worth going for and has competition. And yes, you can get bargains here and there. You can get the Sonny Larmans of the world. You can get, you know, the bargains out there. But every player that's got a transfer battle that is young, you know, got so much talent and got a massively high healing and potential, there's going to be competition. You can't just walk in and say, I'm Manchester United, come to us. So in every department, in this inflated market, we're going to have to overpay or wiggle somewhere. Who are you willing to do that for? Are you willing to do it for Matheus Fernandes? If you're not, move on to Alex Scott, but you are going to have to probably do it for him as well. Every player has got different parameters that Manchester United are going to have to budge a little bit on their transfer strategy, and that's just the way that it's going right now, because other clubs are willing to do that to go and get the best on what they need. I will say this over and over again. Look, if we overpay for a player, we overpay for a player. But if they perform, no one's going to care. Like, Jude Bellingham at the time went for massive money, over 100 million. Does anyone actually ever bring that up? No, because he's absolutely class. Declan Rice, huge transfer fee. No one cares. He's really, really good. He's won a Premier League title with Arsenal. Like, even Enzo Fernandez at the time, people couldn't believe the price that Chelsea were paying for Enzo Fernandez to Benfica. It looks like they're going to actually make some profit on him when he goes to Real Madrid, because it's looking like he's going to go for 120 million. Like, if players are worth, you know, what, maybe you value them a little bit lower than the inflated fee you end up paying, but if they're worth even going for that fee in the first place, if they've got the levels to rise and go up, if they've got age on their side, like, it's worth going and getting that deal done instead of going for someone who does fit your parameters, but in a few years' time, you've got barely any interest in them, you're going to lose money on them, and everyone's saying, oh, we need to go for another midfielder now, and the midfielder that you bought for 40, 50 million, you're going to have to sell for 20. Like, that's where I'm at with it. So United are going to have to spend at some point. I think they're trying to hold firm because they don't want to let the whole transfer market know the exact budgets they have. They clearly have budgets for different areas in the squad, but someone's got to blink at some point. And I think when we enter the new financial year, that's where we're going to have to see what Manchester United are made of and if they are going to pay for these players that they want. So let's see. We've got some super chats coming in. I've got loads more to bring up as well on the likes of Tchouameni and Fernandes, so keep getting your comments in. John O'Shea says, Diamande rejecting Liverpool was... Want to say sorry for last week if England win the World Cup. John, what are you telling me there? I mean, you're telling me you're happy that Diamande's rejected Liverpool. I think we all were pretty buzzing when we saw that news. And then if England win the World Cup, it starts with would. I don't know the question because it's cut off, but let me know if you want me to answer it. In terms of Diamande rejecting Liverpool, by the way, sorry, I mean, I've got to. They do it to us. Liverpool's pull over the last few years, I mean, every player they've gone for is has said no, haven't they, at this point? I think Lavia said no, Caicedo said no, Jude Bellingham said no, Diamande's now saying no. I mean, there must be others as well. What's going on there, eh? What is going on there? I mean, we can't really speak much. We lost out to Tchouameni to Manchester City, one of our, noisy neighbours, and we lost out on Elliot Anderson to Man City. The thing is with us, I genuinely do believe with that Elliot Anderson deal, of course, the player was advanced on the City side, but we were never going to compete financially with that. So it's not as if United went and put 300 grand a week on the table and said, we're going to pay 116 million. And he's just gone, nah, actually, I prefer City. Like, the financial package is much bigger at Manchester City. But anyway, Isak converts, because, no other club was going to go in there and pay that amount of money for Isak, were they? Zubimendi, there's another one. Tchouameni, were Liverpool in for Tchouameni? Someone mentioned Tchouameni. Potentially at one point. Anyway, guys, this isn't the Liverpool show. Look, at least Liverpool showed the ambition to go for Diamande. We should have been going for him. We should be going for players like that, but it looks like he's off to PSG. In regards to more updates on why the three midfielders. So, Manuel Ugarte has mentioned that essentially, getting that extra midfielder has become more pressing. There's more news coming out on Alex Scott right now. There's loads of lingering news on Tchouameni. So it's looking like Matheus Fernandes, Alex Scott, Tchouameni are the three that United are really, really looking at right now. Baleba is lurking in the background, and I think that's if we fail to get any of our top targets. So Baleba would be, lower down the list. You are looking at category D, E, F sign if you do end up getting Baleba, but I still think Baleba as a third choice midfielder is better than getting no third choice midfielder. Ty Marshall has come out in the MEN just recently, literally within the last hour, and said Manuel Ugarte's injury presents a different problem. Rather than selling him to fund a replacement, now United need to consider whether they need someone to fill his slot in the squad. If United do sign Matheus Fernandes, then they would have Casemiro, Ederson and Fernandes as midfield options next season, while Mount could also fill in a deeper role, having done so twice towards the end of last season. Look, I'm going to be 100% honest. This isn't me being inflammatory. This isn't me, trying to be I was stuck between using hyperbole or exaggerating. It's not me trying to go over the top. Manchester United, I'll keep it simple. Manchester United need three midfielders, like no if, buts or maybes. Matheus Fernandes, there's a reason we're going for him. Like I said, huge potential, but he's still young. It's a lot of pressure, especially for the price tag it looks like either club, Spurs or United, are going to end up paying for him. I'm hoping it's us. I want us to go and get him if he's our top midfielder target after Elliot Anderson, and we've run the data and he's the one that we want. I'm not really too fussed about the money. It's not coming out of my pocket. I mean, if we went out there and spent 150 million on Matheus Fernandes, I'd be like, okay, hang on a second. But go and pay the money, go and get him. But he's still only 21, and you can't just throw him in the deep end and expect him to be the Casemiro replacement and solve Manchester United's midfield problems in the Premier League and the Champions League at that age coming in. It would be unfair. So, good signing, but you still need someone with a bit more experience. Casemiro, very, very good player, can hold his own. I don't know what Thomas Tuchel's thinking, not giving him a minute, by the way. What is he thinking? Get Manu on that pitch. He needs to be on there. But anyway, very good player. I trust in him. Absolutely trust in him. But you need someone with a bit of an engine beside him. Absolutely. You've got Ederson, who is going to be adapting to the Premier League. That is going to take some adaptation at 27 years old. I think it will. Very risky signing. Hopefully, it's a signing that will work. I'm hoping his energy and his ball-winning ability next to Casemiro will work quite well. So there's another midfielder. I'm sorry, as much as I think when Mason Mount's fit and he's firing, he's a very good player, I don't even count Mason Mount in the category. Mason Mount is a luxury player. When he's available, absolutely fantastic. He's a great player to have in your squad. But you cannot count on him being available. So I just don't even count Mason Mount in that category. So really, going into next season, you've got Casemiro, hopefully Matheus Fernandes, Ederson, and that's three. You've got three to cover Premier League and Champions League. You've got Tyler Fletcher that you can bring in, but again, that's really expecting a lot. To expect a player that's sort of graduating from the academy and in the first team, just coming into the first team, expecting him to go and play at the top of his game in the Premier League and the Champions League. Like, as much as I hope he ends up being an absolute superstar, I hope he's the next Casemiro coming out of Carrington, like, you can't put that pressure on him. Like, look at the way City have integrated their youth players over the years. They don't just go, there you go, make that work, solve our issues. They're integrated slowly. You know, they're nurtured into a very good team, and that's what you want to be able to do if you're Manchester United. So we absolutely have to sign 3. And I think, despite the fact you're not going to get money from selling Ugarte anymore, the fact he's not available whatsoever, I think it forces United's hand even more to go and get a third midfielder, because you can't even say, look, we've still got Ugarte, because you literally don't have Ugarte probably for 6 to 12 months. So we've got to go and get someone. Edward says Manu Kone. Look, I really like Manu Kone, and I think I saw him quoted for around £30 million the other day, and when I saw that, I thought, I would have been all over that, really. Yeah, is that third cheaper midfield signing if we hadn't already signed Ederson. But we signed Ederson, so for me, I'm still looking until it's over and it's in my face and official. I am not counting out Manchester United going big on both of their 2 next midfield signings. I'm not. I'm still seeing Ederson as the cheaper player, because that's my standards for Manchester United as of now. We've got another super chat in. Sorry, I just saw a comment there that I've got to reply to. Creeping E says, Lacroix would be an amazing move, and move Martinez into midfield. Martinez in midfield is a centre-back for me. He's a centre-back. He can play there, but if necessary. Someone said Mason Mount wanted by AC Milan. There's nothing in that. Stephen Ralston shut it down. I actually think Milan would be a great move for Mason Mount, but there's no way we're going to let him go when Ugarte is already out completely. Like, it's not going to happen. Like I said, Mason Mount's a luxury player when he's fit, when he's available. I think he slots in. I think he's a very good player to have. Injuries have, unfortunately, you know, held him back across his United career and not let him hit them heights that he would have wanted to. But we won't let him go as well as Ugarte, and I don't think Mason Mount even wants to go. And AC Milan won't be able to afford the package that it would cost for Mason Mount. I know they've just gone and spent big on Gonzalo Ramos, but they're not paying 240 grand a week for Mason Mount. They're not doing that. Lacroix, I think, would be an amazing player to bring in as well. I really like him with Crystal Palace, but it's looking like Chelsea are going in that direction. We're not necessarily going for a centre-back. I think that'll be, you know, a last sort of roll of the dice, last week of the transfer window if we've got any money left. I'll be shocked if we end up with a centre-back. Even though, I'm sorry, I think we need one. I do think we need one. Maguire, as good as he is, right, it's another year older, and he has had injury problems before. He did really well last season, but 2 games a week? Martinez, smashing it in the World Cup. I hope he continues. Every time he steps out on the pitch, I literally say a little prayer to myself that he stays fit. He's doing so well. That's the Martinez we need playing for United. Like, he's quality at the moment. Martinez is so hit and miss, but when he's on it, he's so good. That's the Martinez I want, but still there is injury concerns, unfortunately. I think he's been injured more than he's been fit for United, so you've got to say that there is injury concerns there. Aiden Heaven, really promising, but promising is the word. You can't come in and expect him to, you know, be a Premier League title contender straight away. Like, that's what we want to be able to build going into next season, and the Champions League as well. I definitely think he'll get more games, but he's still learning, still developing. Same with Lenny Yoro. And then De Ligt, who isn't even going to be back for the start of the season, it's looking like. It's going to be, hopefully, before the end of the year, I think it is. So I still think we need a centre-back. I really do think that, but I know it's not at the top of United's list as of now, and we've got a budget for areas, and because Michael Carrick plays with 2 and Amorim played with 3, I think we will hold out on the centre-back to maybe the next transfer window. I'm hoping, though, Aiden Heaven, yet Lenny Yoro can really step up. John O'Shea's super chat's been hidden, so I can only assume what it might have said. God knows. Anyway, we'll move on. We'll move on a little bit. We'll move on. Next up, I wanted to cover, here we go, we talked about Mason Mount a little bit. Oh yeah, here we go. There is little doubt Carrick and Wilcox will have to consider depth in midfield without Ugarte if the injury is as serious as he fears. Academy options will come into the thinking there, with Tyler Fletcher looking like the most advanced. United also have Toby Collier on their books still, although the 22-year-old has been lined up for a loan move this season. Toby Collier and Tyler Fletcher aren't going to solve our midfield problems. I hope, so God, if they have to, they will. And I wish them nothing but the best careers. But Toby Collier is going out on loan, and there's a reason for that. I hope he does really well. Tyler Fletcher, Hopefully one day he is the next Manu coming out of Carrington, but as of now you can't put that pressure on him. So United need to go and get 3 midfielders. I really hope it's United playing coy, not telling the media this is what we're going to do, and we end up, we get that next deal over the line. Hopefully it's going to be Matheus Fernandes, and then next thing you know, we're also going for Tchouameni, and everyone's like, oh, I thought you didn't have any money, and it's like, well, we didn't want to tell the whole world that we had this much to spend. That's what I'm hoping. Maybe I'm deluded. Let's see. Just on Fernandes quickly, there was a little bit coming out of team talk about Tottenham are reportedly willing to include Mickey Moore on loan in a deal with West Ham if they look to beat Man United to the signing of Matheus Fernandes. Just on that, look, I'm not saying Matheus Fernandes has chosen United and it's not come out there. However, there has been, multiple reports from the United side of the media saying that they think Fernandes' preference is United. All I'm going to say is if Fernandes didn't actually care where he was going to go, would Spurs have got this deal done by now? Because apparently Spurs are willing to pay. Apparently Spurs are offering him a really good wage. Apparently Spurs are now trying to include Mickey Moore on loan in a deal with West Ham. So wouldn't have you got the deal done by now, or at least put in a bid, if Spurs were really willing to go all out for Fernandes and Fernandes didn't care? Or has he still not completely made up his mind and he's still hoping and holding out for a Manchester United move, and Man United won't pay the money that West Ham want, and West Ham are really holding firm on it? And I think there's a lot of games being played in the media right now, and I'm not saying that United have the upper hand on this. I am always going to be red tinted glasses. And to be honest with you, I can't see why you'd want to play for Spurs over United. I'm sorry, I can't. The only thing I can think of is living in London, but have you even been to Manchester? Trust me, you want to live here. You want to live in Manchester. And even so, it's like, if a player's only choosing a club because of where they want to live in terms of London over Manchester, I want a player that's ambitious to go and win the biggest trophies and go and play in the Champions League. So, look, with Matheus Fernandes, it's going to be interesting when all is revealed, but I think there's multiple people within this deal that have different preferences and have different motives. There's agents who are going to want the best for the client. I think that's absolutely dead on. There's agents who are also going to want the best fee for themselves. There's West Ham who are going to want the best fee for themselves, and then there's United who are going to want the best fee for them, and Spurs who are going to want to win this transfer battle over United because that makes them look really, really good, and they want to do it for the new manager, Roberto De Zerbi, who is really pushing for extravagant signings behind the scenes. So look, I'm not saying Matheus Fernandes is sat there saying, can we just wait for United to see if they'll pay? Because he might not be doing that. He might genuinely be sat there saying, I don't care where I go, just agree the deal with West Ham, and if you really want me, then you'll pay the money. He might be, but I just can't see it. I can't see that. I can't see it. For example, right, if it was me and I was being approached by 2 amazing, for example, you had 2 brand sponsorships that are like competitors, and you could only go for one. For example, if it was like Nike versus Adidas and you had to pick, and I'm not saying Spurs and United and Nike versus Adidas, I do actually think there's a bit more of a gap between them. But anyway, say it was, okay, actually, I'm not even getting into this on stream, but Nike versus Adidas, right? And both of you are offering you different things, they're explaining the projects, they're explaining what the partnership's going to be. You might like both, but you do have a preference. And I don't believe Matheus Fernandes is just sat there saying, who offers the most money? I don't think that. And if he is sat there thinking that, I don't know. It's an interesting. Why is it going on for so long? Why is it going on for so long and so long? The club that spends so long in transfers is United. So I think the player would prefer to go to United. I think United, why it's going on for so long is because they won't pay up to West Ham because they have a certain budget they want to spend on this player, and I think they think the more that they hold out, the more they negotiate, they're going to get money knocked off this deal. I might be completely wrong, and he might end up at Spurs, and I might have egg on my face, but I do think if United are willing to pay the money, he'll be a Manchester United player, personally. Sidis Kongan says, Fernandes should stay, I only want United, and then it ends the bidding war. Well, that's what Man United will want him to do. That's what they want most of the players they go for to do. It's what they asked Mbeumo to do. It's what they asked Cunha to do. And I do get that point. Yan Diomande did it perfectly. I tweeted that. I tweeted the Ornstein update with Yan Diomande choosing PSG, and I said, Matheus Fernandes, hello, this is how you do it. Like, Yan Diamande's just done it. Like, don't be afraid. Do it. But then also, you've got to think, it's not just him in this deal, right? He's got a team around him. He's got a super agent in George Mendes. He's 21. I mean, at 21, you are young. I think back to when I was 21, you are young. And I know Yan Diamande's young and everything like that, and every player is different, but it's hard just to say it's on the player. Like, he'll have a lot of people in his ear, and I'm not making excuses at all. And also, you've got the point of, what if he comes out and says, I only want United, and then United don't pay what West Ham want, and you're stuck in that situation then. So, let's see. I believe it when I see it, but I do think behind the scenes, I don't think he's just sat there saying whoever pays the most money. Sound Dog, I'm trying with my analogies, right? I'm trying. It's not as if I'm even like trying to do them. They just come to my head. It's all about the delivery, isn't it? I need to work on it better. John Cena says, was watching the United Stand anniversary show. I enjoyed the part. What are you on about? What are you on about, John Cena? Honestly. Robert McCormack's my friend. Like, honestly, seriously. That's what you're coming. That's what you've spent your money to come in and say. Like, genuinely. Come on now. The United Stand anniversary is brilliant. Come on. Honestly, some people, Monday, 2:30 in the afternoon, and that's what you're choosing to spend your money to come and say to me. Seriously. Anyway, we move. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Any last bits I wanted to bring in? Oh, yeah, just from Tchouameni. This came in as well. Man United have now reportedly cleared 2 major hurdles in their pursuit of Tchouameni, with the £70 million move now looking increasingly possible. Again, I might be completely backing up the wrong tree, but the reason why we've not given a big wage yet, and even with Matheus Fernandes, I think the price that's been negotiated for his wages, from what I could gather, was around 160, 165 grand a week. I think that's where we're looking at with him. For 21, it's a lot. It's not massive money. Tchouameni, I have a feeling it's United's big money signing in terms of, Fernandes might cost more than him, but he's the big name coming in. That's where, you know, the big wages are coming on Tchouameni. I'm not saying we're going to spend 300 grand a week. I don't expect that. But he's currently on 211 grand a week. And I think United will do that deal. It's too obvious. He screams the United player. He is a Casemiro replacement. He's the big name that's going to impress fans. He's a leader. Ticks every box. And he's not coming in on extortionate money. It's a big wage, but he's deserving of it. And, you know, he's coming in with that aura and that reputation behind him, which I think Manchester United need. And also, as well, Christopher Vivell, it's been pushed for ages. Christopher Vivell loves Tchouameni. I mean, Tchouameni's been a name that's been floating around Manchester United for a long time. Also, there was a slight report about Amad Diallo moving from Manchester United. Romano shut that down, and he said Man United consider Amad Diallo not for sale this summer. Despite approaches and interest in the Ivorian winger, he won't leave as United see Amad as a key player. So that's completely shut down straight away. And look, Amad was never going to leave, but this happens sometimes. Carl Robert Shaw 8950 says, don't forget we've got Obi and JJ coming through. We have, but that should be supplementing our team. And if they come into the team and they knock everyone's socks off, they keep the place. Absolutely. But we shouldn't be sat there saying, really hope that Obi and JJ Gabriel are the answers to our season. Like, I hope they are. I hope they're brilliant. I hope Chido Obi is the next coming of Van Persie, and I hope JJ Gabriel is, you know, the mini Messi that everyone thinks he is. He looks fantastic. But you can't go into a season with them gaps in your squad on hope. Like, you can't do that. You've got to bring them into a side that's already playing at the top level with experienced players, and then they can fight for their places. HG says, Beth, what if Fernandes prefers De Zerbi over Carrick? Then we'll find that out in the end. But, you know, I think De Zerbi's only ever been somewhere in his career maximum 2 to 3 years. So, I mean, fair enough if he stays at Spurs for longer than that, but how old's Fernandes? 21. Say if De Zerbi leaves Spurs in 2 years, which is like his track record, is leaving clubs after 2 to 3 years maximum. He's not even got into his prime years yet, so I wouldn't go just for a manager, personally. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching. I do appreciate you. Smash a like on the video if you've not already. We've got loads of World Cup content coming for you this evening. But do remember, regarding the United Stand, Mark will be back for the 8 PM show live on the United Stand, so tune into that. And then tonight, over on the That's Football YouTube channel, you have myself and Goldbridge back for the World Cup, okay? So, kicking off the evening, you have Brazil versus Japan at 6 PM with Goldbridge. That is going to be a banger. I cannot wait for that. Can Japan do it? Look, I sort of want Brazil to go through for Cunha, but then I also want Japan to go through for the underdog story. And Japan are very good, to be fair, but that's going to be an absolutely mega game. Cannot wait for that. Then, after that, don't go anywhere, because also on That's Football, myself and Tull will be live from the That's Football studio doing Germany versus Paraguay. Can't wait for that. That'll be at 9:30 kickoff. I'm going to be looking at Nietzsche very closely again, because there has been some rumours of Man United having him on the list. I don't think it's advanced, but I'm definitely going to be looking at him in that game. And then Goldbridge, you know, he's doing every single game. You can't miss him. 2 AM, it's what I'm also debating staying up for. The Netherlands versus Morocco. That's also going to be a banger. These World Cup games now, they're getting super, super tasty. And I know a lot of you will look at that and you'll say, Germany versus Paraguay, the one that me and Tull are doing, 9:30 kickoff, right? That's a landslide to Germany. You just never know. You just never know in these knockout games. You know, Paraguay could have something up the sleeve. You just don't know. So make sure you're tuning in to all them games. I'm loving the World Cup and I'm loving the watch-alongs as well, so make sure you're here. Thank you everyone for watching. I'll see you later on That's Football, and enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you on the next one.